Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to degree a cam in an engine. Okay, this isn't something that's super difficult to do, but there is a few specialty tools you'll need. One is a degree kit, or at least the degree wheel. There's tons of them out there. Obviously, this one's from Summit. It was pretty cheap. It came with the dial indicator as well. It does not come with this deck bridge. I use this to figure out exactly where top dead center is on the number one cylinder. And then you'll also need the cam card. It has all the important info as well as the intake center line, which on this cam is 112, which that's kind of the info we need. So to start off, really, we need to figure out exactly where top dead center is on number one. And then from there, we can start to figure out and measure where the intake center line is. So I already have the deck bridge set up with the dial indicator, and then the degree wheel is on. I've got this pointer through the water pump hole. So I'll get the camera set up and we'll spin the motor over. And then I'll show you the measurements we'll take. Okay, one thing you want to keep in mind is when you're measuring for top dead center, you want to take a measurement from as close to the middle of the piston as you can, because naturally the piston rocks side to side in the cylinder. So if you measure out on the edges, it could throw off the measurement by a bit. Because these pistons are dished so much, I actually had to just put a little pipe plug sitting on the middle of the piston so that my dial indicator reaches far enough to contact it. So I've got top dead center roughly marked on the dial indicator there, and it's zeroed out. And now to find true top dead center, we're going to measure 50 thousandths before top dead center and 50 thousandths after top dead center, and then we can average the two out to find out where true top dead center is. So if I back this off and kind of sneak up on it at 50, okay, so we're 50 thousandths before top dead center. We will take note of where that is on the degree wheel. So I'm looking at the 50. So I'm at 58 degrees. So I'll just make note of that. So it's 58. And then now we'll do the same thing after top dead center and find that number. Okay, so now we'll go past top dead center and we'll find 50 thousandths after. Right there. And that time we get 36 on the degree wheel. So we'll note down our 36, add the two of these together, would be 94. And then half of 94 would be 47. So 47 is the number we want to target on the degree wheel. And that should give us true top dead center. There's our mark at 47. So that'll be true top dead center. Can go ahead and remove the deck bridge now. And then I will loosen off this degree wheel and we'll set it so that the pointer is at 0 top dead center on the wire, and then we can move on to the next part. All right, the degree wheel is set up at 0 top dead center. And then to measure next, you need a magnetic base to put the dial indicator on, and then we'll put one lifter and push rod in the number one, and make sure the push rod is on the intake lobe of the cam. You also just want to make sure everything is as straight as possible so you get a better reading. One thing to note, um, you need a solid lifter to do this. If you use a hydraulic lifter, as you're turning it over and it's pressing against the dial indicator and the push rod, it can collapse the plunger inside the lifter and it'll throw off your reading and it won't be very accurate. So if you're building an engine that's going to use a hydraulic roller lifter, you need to either buy one solid lifter to do this, or sometimes you can modify a junk one and take the plunger out of it entirely so that it is solid and stack up washers. There's a bunch of videos online on how to do that, but thankfully for me, this whole combination uses a solid roller, so these are the lifters I'll actually be using in the engine. One other thing I didn't mention before, when you're doing this, always do it in the rotation of engine direction, so clockwise. um, you can roll it back when you're coming up on a measurement, but roll it like an extra 10 or 20 degrees back and then sneak up on it again, just because the slack in the timing chain can also mess up your measurements. But we're basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll the engine over until we find max lift basically on the intake lobe, and I'll mark that as well. I'll zero this out, and then we'll go 20 thousandths before and after max lift and take note of those two numbers, and we can use those two numbers to find our intake center line. So I will go ahead and start turning this over and we'll find max lift on the intake. Okay, we've got the dial indicator zeroed out. That's at maximum lobe lift on the number one intake. So I'll actually back it off first, and then we'll find the measurement of 20 thousandths before, which is right about there. Maybe a touch too far, but look at the wheel, and that is 86 degrees. So we'll make a mark or a note about that like we did when finding top dead center. So 86. And then I'll do the same thing, and we will find 20 thousandths after maximum lift. So there's max lift and back down 20 thousandths. And that time we get 134. So 134 and 86 would be 220. And half of 220, 110. So our intake center line right now is 110 degrees. That's just slightly off. Our cam card had indicated intake center line at 112 degrees. Okay, so the cam came in at 110, so it's 2 degrees advanced from what the cam card specifies. So if we want to try to match it up, we need to retard the cam 2 degrees. And on this adjustable crank sprocket, you'll see I switched it to -2, so that's 2 degrees retarded, whereas before it was at 0. And this does have adjustment to go, I think, as high up to 6 or 8, 8 degrees advanced or retarded. So we'll put the degree wheel back on now that this is 2 degrees retarded, and we'll go through that process again and recheck and see where it falls this time. Okay, so we're back at maximum valve lift on the number one intake. So I'll back it off, and then we'll sneak up on 20 thousandths before. Right there. And it looks about 88 degrees. So we will make our note. That was 88. Now 20 thousandths after, so up to 0, back down 80,000, 20 thousandths after, sorry. And that is 136, let's say. So 136. So those two would be 18, so 224. Half of 224 is 112. So that's perfect. That's right where we wanted it according to the cam card. So had to install the cam, ended up being 2 degrees retarded to get the right intake center line. 2 degrees isn't really a big shift. It won't affect power as much as it'll affect piston to valve clearance, because it kind of changes the timing events of when they're happening. So I've yet to check piston to valve clearance because I don't have cylinder heads to do so. So when I do get cylinder heads, we'll check piston to valve clearance, and who knows, I may still need to adjust that otherwise if the piston to valve clearance isn't where it should be. But this isn't the biggest cam in the world, and these pistons do have pretty good valve reliefs on them for the intake valve, so I don't see that being an issue, but you never know. So that's probably all I'll do for this video. Next video, I'm gonna go through some more of the bottom end stuff, get the oil pump gone through, get the timing cover on, get the oil pan on, and then the short block will be all wrapped up. So follow back for more, and thanks for watching.